Yes, I am delighted and excited to introduce this personality. This gentleman has many talents. He's a management consultant based in London. He was placed world number 2 at the World Champion of Public Speaking in 2015 from over 35,000 public speakers around the world. He's the TEDx speaker and also he's the addressed audience in over 15 countries and 25 cities across the continents. He's a regular columnist with the Hindu and Daily and several other national and international publications. He is a passionate about history, leadership, and other. And if you, there are so many things to share about this personality. If you want to know more, please stay tuned to his Facebook or LinkedIn pages. He's going to take through the keynote on use Toastmasters where it matters in career. Please put your hands together. Our keynote speaker, influential writer, management consultant, distinguished Toastmaster, Mr. Aditya Maheshwaran.
Thank you.
Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Srini Babu. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, very well.
Excellent. That's also a problem. All right. Semi-hearing is the best so that I can avoid the wrong words. Right. So it's lovely to be here in front of all of you. I must first say huge commendations to Area Director Srini Babu. I have been to hundreds of Toastmaster conferences in the last 6 months in the pandemic. There's been no one as regular in touch, as communicative, as humble in terms of inviting, organizing, sending updates as Srini Babu. So well done, Srini Babu. Your passion for Toastmasters really comes through. Probably a budding career as a politician. I saw you do this now. You know, normal politicians do the angled namaste. So it's lovely to be here. District Director Bhupati, lovely to meet you again as usual. And my good friend Nawab, it's always a pleasure listening to Nawab. I was just telling Nawab in private chat now saying, dude, you've said it all. I have nothing more to add. So what you warmed up the audience really well, Nawab. I wish you were here to open different gatherings wherever I speak. It will make my job easier. So lovely to be here again. So today is not about me. It's not about Nawab. It's not about Bhupati. It's not about Srini Babu. But it's about you, the 91 of you here, because we are talking about something very important. What's more important in our lives than our own selves, our careers? And today is therefore about your career. How can you leverage a platform like Toastmasters to enhance your probability of success in your career, lives, and as a person? So feel free to reflect as I speak about questions you may have that you want to ask me. And I'm going to try my best to maximize the time allocated for questions and answers. And it's no holds barred. So ask me any question that you want. And if it's in my power to respond, I will. So, but I'm not a spiritual guru, so I won't have the pressure to have an answer to every question of yours. So I have the luxury to say, I don't know, but feel free to ask me anything. Now, there are 3 things that I'm particularly passionate about. And some of you might have heard this. One is what I realized when I was doing my MBA a long time ago. I realized I was truly passionate about the free market, how money travels, management. And management caught my attention. So I realized, hey, there should be something in my career where I'm able to look at the macro trends, capitalism, free market, how the dollar bill moves. There was another thing that I was really passionate about: human behavior, leadership. Why people do what they do, and why are some people more successful than others? But there was also another thing that I was passionate about. We have a lot of passions, don't we? That's public speaking, Toastmasters, getting on stage and creating impact on the audience. Now, for a long time, I was wondering, how do I connect these dots between these 3, what I call the vertices of a triangle? For me, it was a triangle. For you, it could be a polygon, a quadrilateral, or a pentagon. But for me, it was a triangle, and I wanted to sit between these 3 vertices in the sweet spot that connected my passion for management, my passion for human behavior, and my passion for public speaking. For a long time, I couldn't find that sweet spot. I was moving like a small plastic bag in the wind, going the way the wind carried me, rather than taking charge of my own career and sitting in the mid of these three vertices. Finally, 8 years ago, I found my a career that gave me enough of all of these three, and I'm happy to continue in that career for 8 years now. And that's what I would, if at all, you can call anything as a dream job. Probably this would be it. But things weren't this rosy 15 years ago. South Indian engineer, got into average private engineering college, not your IITs of the world. So there was a lorry, a lorry that came in my last year of engineering, picked us all up and drove us to an IT company. So I was a programmer. You know, at that time there used to be a joke. It seems there used to be a board outside TCS that says trespassers beware. You may be recruited. You know? So that was the number of people that IT companies used to hire in the mid and late 2000s. And I was one among those hundreds of people. I spent 4 years in an IT company. I had a great time. As a young guy, no responsibilities, living with parents, all salaries, pocket money, have dad's car to drive to office. Hey, what else do you want in life? But there was something missing because my passion wasn't getting fulfilled at work. And then fast forward 10 years or so, I have found what I truly want to do, my swadharma, meaning those natural inclinations tied up with the supply in terms of a job. And then it kind of creates that intrinsic joy each time you do it, isn't it? So if I ask Srinu Babu, he's done a lot of work for this, putting this event together. Does he really consider this boring work? He would say, no, Aditya, this gave me so much joy and satisfaction. If he spends half of this energy on something that's not natural to him, he would say, I'm drained, I need a vacation. And that's Swadharma. Can you align what you do 8 hours a day with what comes naturally to you? And then you create the sweet spot, that Venn diagram intersection, where the ikigai, as some people call it. And today's session is going to be about that. But I want to give time for you to ask questions. So I'm going to leave you with 4 or 5 lessons that I've learned that helped me in this transition, all thanks to Toastmasters. And not just me, but a lot of people I have found around me who've been part of this journey with me in Toastmasters for the last 15 years, and how they have found their passion, and what lessons can you learn from all of these people that may help you find your passion. Srinu Babu ran a poll, and that poll results said that nearly 25% or 30% of you, the reason you're not in your dream jobs is because you have lack of clarity on what a dream job really is. 15% of you said there's no time to prepare to even get into a dream job. I'm so caught up in my daily chores that I have no time to spend on it. I have EMIs to pay. Forget about a dream job. The bank won't care about my dream job. Some people said, nearly 12% of you said, you're too afraid to start trying. A big 18%, there's 1 in 5 people said, I have too many distractions. You know, the choice between good and good. I want to update my resume on LinkedIn, but I also don't want to miss that Friday evening party. So forget about the resume. The typical urgent, important conundrum. And then a good 20% of you said, I'm already in my dream career. So now, for these people, Toastmasters is not a painkiller, it's a vitamin. Toastmasters is not going to the hospital, it's going to the gym. How can you become better at your dream career before your dream career moves faster than your own capabilities and you're found wanting again? So irrespective of where you are, there is something about Toastmasters that can enhance your career. Now I'm going to talk about 5 things you can keep in mind that's going to help you make the transition. None of this is cast in stone, so take all of it with a pinch of salt. The first thing that I've observed in people who have, as Nawab rightly said, not just become better at Toastmasters, but better in their careers outside of Toastmasters is that these are people who are engaged but not entangled in Toastmasters. Now, these are people who are engaged but not entangled in Toastmasters. Now, what does that mean? You know, as Nawab rightly said, you join Toastmasters to become better as a person outside. None of us walked into our first Toastmaster meeting. Remember your first Toastmaster meeting? Did you walk into that meeting to become a division director? Or did you walk into that meeting to become a better speaker because your boss said you're great technically, but you should talk better to your clients? Or you're not able to take feedback well? Or you need to enhance your network? Or you are new to the city? So none of us joined Toastmasters to become a DTM. We joined Toastmasters to become outside. While being engaged is important, like what Srinu is doing, is an engaged Toastmaster. I have myself been a club officer, district officer, a leader at Toastmasters, a communicator, a world champion representative, but I've never found myself entangled in Toastmasters. And that's helped me channelize all of these learnings to what really matters, which is my own career and outside Toastmasters. I remember a young man called Sebastian who walked into Chennai Toastmasters way back in 2008 when I was the president of Chennai Toastmasters. It was the first and the only club in Chennai, community club in Chennai at that point in time. Now, Sebastian was this smart individual, and we were like sharks. The moment there's a young, smart individual with a heavy wallet, we Toastmasters, what do we call him? We want him for our PR team. We want him for our marketing team. We want him as the next Nawab in our district, our division. Forget about his career. Forget about his aspirations. Let's pull him to organize district conferences. Here is a goat. Let's feed the goat before we chop it. So we used Sebastian. Unfortunately, he became the PR vice president PR at Chennai Toastmasters. He had to run around searching for sponsors, and in 1 year, Sebastian did not renew. And I got guilty. I asked Sebastian, why are you not renewing? Sebastian said, I walked into Toastmasters to gain confidence, to get more clients in my business. And here I am, got entangled into Toastmasters, doing flyers and campaigns because somebody up is asking me to do it. Nobody empathizes with me as to why I joined Toastmasters, and they just want to use me to promote Toastmasters. I told Sebastian, that's what happens in the world, but why did you get entangled into it? So there's going to be a lot of pressures for you to become a better Toastmaster. If that doesn't connect, or if you're not able to align it with your own career, try to stay off it. If you're able to align it, for example, if you're the PR head and you realize how becoming a PR head is going to help your own leadership skills at work, then take that up. If you're not able to see the connection, ask your leader, ask your area director, ask your district director, how can this opportunity help me at work? And if they're not able to answer that, then don't take it up, because they should get their education then. So the first example is that I remember when I became a distinguished Toastmaster, I thought I was a distinguished person until a new Toastmaster, a guy called Karthik, joined our club. Karthik was a great leader, great communicator, but he was a new Toastmaster. I was a distinguished Toastmaster, so I expected everybody to respect me, to flock around me. I should be the magnet because I am a young 23-year-old distinguished Toastmaster. But what happened when Karthik joined the club is that all new members ran to Karthik for advice, for guidance, for humor, to learn. And that guy hadn't even completed 2 projects in Toastmasters. I realized then, my friends, DTM is just a test of perseverance. You do 40 projects, 50 projects, you become a DTM. Being distinguished is a luxury that you need to earn from others, is a respect that you need to earn by who you are, not what you have done. And therefore, I was entangled in Toastmasters in my journey to DTM, but I wasn't really leveraging what it takes to be distinguished apart from being a DTM. And there is a difference between a DTM and being distinguished. And you can be both, but you need to focus on earning that respect from others. So for the first skill is don't get trapped into what Vedanta or spirituality would call samsara. Samsara is the web that you get caught in. without even your own knowledge, and now you're struggling to get out of it. It's like the chakra view, isn't it? You join Toastmasters or something else, then you get caught into its own politics, its own circumstances. Now your life has more suffering than happiness. You seem to have more burden of duties than pleasure, and your career is not improving as well. That's samsara. Get out of that web. Be engaged but not entangled. Right? Like the example of the lotus leaf, which is in a murky mud pond, but it's not entangled in that dirt. It's still beautiful and bright. So remember, be engaged and not entangled in Toastmasters. The second point is use Toastmasters. People who use Toastmasters or view Toastmasters as an access point, not as a magic wand. What do I mean by that? You know, Malcolm Gladwell says in his book Outliers something very beautiful. He says, the secret of success is not so much just about talent and hard work, which is obvious. There is a secret ingredient, a secret sauce about success, which people don't talk about, which is what he calls having access. What does that mean? He gives an example of two students, say in 5th standard, 5th grade. Say, let's call the two students Nawab and Shrinu Babu, right? Both of you know them really well. They don't look like 5th standard students, though they may wish to, but let's use that example. So Nawab and Shrinu Babu are two young cricketers, 10 years old. And the cricket coach needs to select one student to get into the cricket team. Now, he has only one position open, and both Nawab and Shrinu Babu are excellent batsmen, 10-year-olds. Now, at that time, both are equally talented. So the cricket coach chooses, say, Shrinu Babu over Nawab, just by making a random choice. Now, by virtue of being selected into that cricket team, what happens? Now, Shrinu Babu gets better access to gear. He gets, first time he's wearing a helmet and a prop, playing with a kookaburra ball, an English willow bat. Nawab continues to play with in the gully cricket with the tennis ball and the normal bat. Now, Shrinu Babu gets access to champions from other schools. He gets access to a proper coach who kind of gives feedback, evaluations about the techniques of batting and bowling and fielding. Shrinu Babu now gets supporters, cheers, so he becomes more confident playing in front of a crowd. Now, let's extend it to 5 years' time. Now, who's a better cricketer by the time they reach 10th standard? They started off with the same talent and passion, but just by access to feedback, coaching, better resources, Shrinu Babu's talent is significantly better than Nawab's by the time they reach 10th standard. So Toastmasters is not a magic wand. If you get a feedback from your boss that you're lacking in your communication skills, it's not a training program that you enter and 2 days later you can show progress. No, in 2 days, both these students were same cricketers, but in 5 years, you find a significant difference between the two cricketers. Similarly, Toastmasters is access. Access makes all the difference. When I joined Toastmasters, I was 19 years old. I wasn't more talented than anybody else in my college. But 5 years later, just by having more access to feedbacks, evaluation, mentors, coaches, competitions, leadership roles, when I was 25 and deep into my career, I realized even without my knowledge, I seemed to be able to convey complex ideas with much more clarity than other people in my team. The clients from the US, my IT company clients, Bank of New York Mellon, I remember, used to say, can we have Aditya doing the client status reports, not the team lead? And that was embarrassing, but that was also gratifying. The client wanted me, rather than my boss, to do the status reports. Not my talent, but access differentiates talent. So the second point is people who really improve their career through Toastmasters, remember that Toastmasters is access point. The more you keep at it, you change 2 degrees, but extrapolate it to 5 years, you've changed yourself completely. The third bit that I want to leave you with today is people who leverage Toastmasters in their careers are those who know what they want first. There are 3 things that Toastmasters can help you with in your career. 1, it makes you a better employee in whichever career you are in already. Not all of us need to become public speakers by profession just because we are in Toastmasters. I remember there was this lady who walked into my Toastmasters club 6 years ago when I was in Mumbai. This lady walked in. She seemed to have this sense of elegance and wisdom in her. And I was wondering why is she entering a Toastmasters club. I asked her, "Ma'am, who are you? Your face seems familiar." She said, "I'm Padma Shri so and so. You know Padma Shri, the civilian award." So, ooh, we have a celebrity in our Toastmasters club. And I asked her, "What's your profession?" She said, "I'm a classical dancer. I dance in front of thousands of people." I said, "Hello, you should be teaching us stage presence. You're a dancer. Why have you joined Toastmasters?" She said, "Hey, Aditya, listen to me. I can dance in front of 10,000 people. I don't care. I'm confident. But between my two numbers, I need to pick the mic and announce my next dance number. And that 30 seconds, I die each time I do that. And I want to join Toastmasters, not to become a public speaker, but to become a better performer on stage in dance. A Toastmaster makes an engineer a better engineer, a dancer a better dancer, a lawyer a better lawyer, a consultant a better consultant, right? You don't need to jump your career. So the first way is to ask yourself, how can I become a better artist by being a Toastmaster? How can I become a better call center employee by being a Toastmaster? You don't need to jump. The second way to use Toastmasters is what I did. I don't want to be a better IT programmer by being a Toastmaster because my passion, my swadharma lies elsewhere. So how do I help Toastmasters jump careers from an IT profession? How can I jump into management consulting? So that's where Toastmasters can help you probably. Jumping careers, making that shift. And the third way Toastmasters can take your career forward is by, if your passion, if your calling is so much on stage, we have numerous examples, do you know, where our own friends in Toastmasters have quit their careers and found their calling and are pretty successful too. Some of you might have heard of Alex, Alex in Wonderland, if you've seen that on Amazon. Alex was a Toastmaster. I chartered a club in Amazon, Chennai, 11 years ago. And Alex was the charter president of Amazon Toastmasters. Now, Alex was always a chirpy, funny individual, but he was unsure about what he really wanted to do. He knew he didn't really enjoy his job. He knew he had a funny bone from a humble background. He didn't know what to do. He competed in the humorous speech contest. And do you know he was the district winner in our humorous speech contest in 2013? Yes, as recent as 2013. And Alex won the humorous speech contest. And then everybody told him, "Alex, there's nobody as natural as you in Toastmasters. You should become, probably you should consider quitting a well-paying job in Amazon and become a stand-up comic." And he did that. 2 years of struggle. Now he's toured probably 50 countries, made the millions by being a very unique stand-up comedian, by connecting music, yoga, stand-up, Toastmasters, and finding his niche. We have examples from Hyderabad. Rajashekar, some of you may know, he's a Bangalore guy as well. He's a professional stand-up comic. Vikram Podar from Bombay is a professional stand-up comic. He has his company called Boardroom Comedy, BORED. He's into the corporate comedy because he was an investment banker. Can you imagine? An investment banker turned comedian. So his niche is boardroom comedy. And there is Apur Gupta from Delhi. Very recently, I heard your own Toastmaster, Mayandi. Do you know Mayandi from Bangalore? Some of you? He competed in the Comic Stan, Tamil version of Comic Stan, which is on Amazon right now. And he's doing a tremendous job. And I saw Mayandi's post, and we have some 200 common friends. Then I realized, oh, Mayandi is a Toastmaster from Bangalore. Mayandi Karunanidhi. Yeah, he lives in Chennai now, I guess. So we have examples of Toastmasters who found their calling and quit their profession as well. And you could be one of that. So remember, you could be better at what you already do. You could move your profession like what I did, or you could completely jump into a field which you are passionate about. All done by Toastmasters. Srinu Babu, do I have some more time in my half an hour? Just give me a thumbs up.
Is on mute. You have time. You have, I think, 5 more minutes.
Okay, then let me complete my last 2 points before getting into the question round. So that's the third bit. The first is ensure you're engaged but not entangled at Toastmasters. Don't get into the samsara, the web of something that doesn't, the maya that didn't even exist before you joined Toastmasters. Now you've added more burden to our lives. We all have this unique habit, isn't it? Life is simple. We opt into things because it promises pleasure. And we have a way to make that into a burden for ourselves. Right? We wanted pleasure, so we made new friends. Now the friends are not leaving you. They want you to go to every party with them. Now that friendship has become a burden. Similarly, Toastmasters, it can become a burden very soon, but don't allow it to become a burden. That's first point. The second point is use Toastmasters as an access point for the long term, not a magic wand. And the third is, how do you want to use Toastmasters in your career? And there are 3 ways, as we saw. The fourth is, remember that being a great Toastmaster is not going to crack you a great career. You know, the last thing you want to say is go to an interview and say, I'm a Toastmaster. You know why it's a danger? Feel free to tell your interviewer, I'm a national level swimmer. Why? Because they can't test it at that moment. They can't tell you, swim and show me. There's no swimming pool there. But unfortunately, if you say I'm a distinguished Toastmaster, it's already available for observation, isn't it, in the way you communicate? You can't say, I am distinguished Toastmaster, I'm the best, ask my friend. No, you can't say that because it's available for observation, whether are you a good communicator or not. So you got to ensure that you got to understand communication in real life is so much more than what we just learned in Toastmasters. I learned that when I joined the management consulting field. By that time, friends, I was a distinguished Toastmaster. I thought I was the best communicator in the world. Why? My club members told me, they said, Aditya, go. And your club members will do that to you until the real world comes and shows you Toastmasters are very kind people. Don't trust everything that they say about your speeches. So I joined into management consulting. I was 26 or so then. I thought I was the best speaker. I told my senior partners in my, partner is the highest designation in consulting. I told my partner, Raj was a partner, saying, Raj, listen, I don't know about the other 26-year-olds you've met, but I'm a great communicator. Ask my Toastmaster friends. I got the second prize in area humorous speech contest. Do you know that? So Raj said, all right, but we have $1 million at stake with a client here. Are you sure you can communicate? I said, yes, Raj, of course. Is it 5 to 7 minutes? No. Raj said, no, there's no disqualification. There's a real life communication. All right, so Raj asked me to prepare 20 slides for a CEO meeting the next day. And I prepared 20 slides. And the next morning, Raj and I took a cab together. We went to Powai in Mumbai, if you know Mumbai. And we went to a headquarters of an FMCG company. And there we met the CEO. Raj was a very senior guy. He was a partner. And I was a newbie in consulting. And we both met CEO. And the CEO, she asked us to sit down. And I was waiting to open my computer, the 20 slides, and present to the CEO because that's what Raj wanted me to do. And suddenly Raj asked the CEO, so what do you want? Where do you want to take the organization to? And the CEO talked about, we really want to be the Uber of our industry. Raj, and they were talking such high-level crap. They're like, I have 20 slides of content. And when I stand and present, the CEO is going to give the $1 million to us. And Raj wasn't even giving me the chance. It was a half-an-hour meeting and 25 minutes was already over. And I couldn't hold myself back. These guys were talking like lost lovers who finally found themselves. And here I was, the best public speaker in the world. And so I couldn't hold myself. I asked Raj, what about the slides? Can I start? The CEO looked at me, understood that I was this young guy in the block, full of himself. So she said, Aditya, don't worry. I really have the confidence now that Raj can deliver on this project. Now, why don't you go to my HR head and they will sign the contract. You can start work next week. I looked at Raj and said, Raj, wow, you told me to prepare 20 slides and you bagged the contract without it. And then we got out of the office and we got in the cab and we went to another meeting. This time it was an IT company and we were meeting the chief strategy officer. Now for this meeting, Raj had told me, Aditya, this is a very high level meeting. So we're going to talk only about exploration, not really about what we're going to deliver for them. So we went into the meeting. I was sitting back relaxed and the meeting started and the chief strategy officer asks us, how do we really improve productivity in our sales team? And suddenly Raj looks at me and says, Aditya, why did you open the slide deck and present to him? I was like, Raj, but did you forget this slide deck was not for this meeting? I said, go ahead, Aditya, and I did it. And the chief strategy officer said, Raj, I'm confident that you guys can deliver. Here's the contract. Now, I asked Raj the next day, Raj, what the hell happened? Why did you make it a topsy-turvy meeting like in Toastmasters? And Raj said, Aditya, you may have the gift of the gab in terms of speaking, but communication in consulting or in real life is much more than just the ability to speak. The ability to read the room, the ability to spot the cues, the ability to look into another person's eyes and know what they are looking for. The CEO, the very first sentence she said made me realize she was trying to test whether we are the right people to work with. So I had to bring that confidence in her that indeed we are the right people to work with. She doesn't care about the solutions. Her HR head will take care of that. In the second meeting, the chief strategy officer went directly into, how are you going to solve my problem? Aditya, you are not reading the room. You cannot be a good public speaker if you cannot read the room. I realized a powerful lesson. But it's not just about body language, voice modulation, eye contact, stage spacing. Unless you're able to read the room, stay in the moment, look at your eyes of the audience and understand what is it they want at that moment, you cannot succeed in your career. So that's another point. Toastmaster communication is so much more. And then I started using the lessons in my career back at Toastmasters. Remember the reverse osmosis now. And now I became a better Toastmaster because of my career. I didn't start doing all these mumbo jumbo that we learned in Toastmasters. I started talking to people as if it's a one-on-one conversation. And people said, Aditya, you are such a great Toastmaster. And I said, no, I learned it from Raj at work. So communication is so much more than just public speaking. So I have a few more points, but I'm going to pause now. And I'm going to open it up for your questions so that I can help you in your own career, if at all possible. So let me pause, hand it back to Srinu Babu, and Srinu, I'll allow you to moderate the session the way you want.
Thank you, Aditya. Such a wonderful session. This is the words of wisdom, awesome. Now, we collected so many questions, then we selected very few of them, which is very common between so many people. Just I want to ask one by one, Aditya. Please help us to answer. Okay, how to manage family, work, and Toastmaster effectively?
Well, some Toastmasters have cracked that code by making family Toastmasters, and Toastmasters as their family. But the point is moderation, isn't it? As I said, we all suffer or feel hollow. We do so much. We have a bad negotiation with life, isn't it? We spend so many hours at work, on family and hobbies, weekend, but we come back and feel hollow at the end of the day most of the time. As Buddha said, we're all suffering. But why do we suffer? It's because, it's because we have volunteered to suffer. Without Toastmasters, you wouldn't have the happiness of Toastmasters, but you wouldn't have the suffering of Toastmasters too, where, oh my God, I'm a division director, now I have to do this, I'm already busy, I have a family, sorry. You don't, so that chucker, getting into that chucker is a big problem. So the only time you can be intelligent is before you opt into activities. After you opt into activities, you're bound by the duties of that opt-in. When you're bound by the duties, if you do well, it's a burden because you're not able to give time for your family. If you don't do well, that's also a burden because now you're seen as an average person. The only time where you can be intelligent is before you opt into action. So my suggestion to you would be, Ask yourself, is this action making me entangled in something which I don't really need in my career or life at the moment? Or is this activity, I'm engaging in this activity in a way that helps me overall? If you cannot define your own why, you will not be able to manage a lot of it. Remember, it's not Toastmasters coming into the way of your family life or work life. Because if you really want to do something, you will do it. Like if you're a smoker, at 2 in the night, you would walk 4 kilometers to fetch a smoke. If you don't, you'll pay $1,000 for a smoke. I've seen that in my B school. 2 in the night after getting drunk, people have walked 4 kilometers, and after they buy it, the onward journey doesn't look long because you're searching. The return journey, you realize, oh shit, I've walked 4 kilometers. I got to walk back now. So if you really want something, you would find it. And therefore, if you really don't find your why in Toastmasters, all life looks like a bird. Srinu.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditya. The next question is, how to define dream job? Does it really exist? For me, every time it is changing. How to fix it?
Yeah, the dream job doesn't, there's no singular dream job that exists. The only, what a dream job, I mean, these are fancy Western terminology. Somebody must have written a book 40 years ago saying dream job. So now we all call it dream job. A dream job just means at that point in time, aligning what you do with what is important for you at that point in time. So when my sister got married and had 2 children, at that point in time, a dream job for her was something that offered her balance and freedom, something that offered her flexibility so that the overall happiness quotient of her life maximizes. 10 years prior to that, her dream job was probably to be the high flying consultant in a company. 10 years from now, probably her dream job would be something completely different, probably to become an artist because she's an amazing oil painter. So dream job is not so much about what I want to do for the rest of my life. Dream job is about, is it syncing to my values and what's important at this moment? Now, for example, I told you that the way I used Toastmasters was not to become a professional comedian or something, but to transfer my time from IT to management consulting. Who knows, in 5 years' time, I may realize my dream job is not this. I want to become a full-time professional keynote speaker. God forbid I don't do that. I hope I don't do that. The world doesn't need more gyan from people like me. It needs less gyan from people like me. As somebody said, everything said and done, there is more said than done. So the world needs more done than said. But I'm saying the dream job is about how do you marry your values and what's important to you to your career at the moment. And if you come back home feeling more drained, feeling more weak, feeling more doubtful about yourself, it's adharmic. It's against your virtues. If you find coming back home feeling stronger every evening, feeling more energetic about what you've done, even if you work 12 hours a day, then you probably are in a dream job. Even if that means being a janitor, it doesn't matter.
Thank you, Aditya. So really, world needs you, no doubt in that. Always your words push our hopes, brings a new hope to move next level. So we need keynote speakers like you. Moving on to the next question. How could we focus on particular goal rather than jumping into the various platforms?
See, I think it goes back to the famous design thinking principle of these days, isn't it? You need to diverge before you converge. Uh, you, it, we should be so lucky to be born knowing what our dream job is or what our destination is, what our fate is, but we don't. So unless we diverge, but what do I mean by diverge? Diverge is the ability to experiment, to give yourself, I spoke about access, give yourself access to 10 different things in life, and then automatically you would know which to cut off. Give yourself access to Toastmasters, give yourself access to something else, give yourself access to a hobby, give yourself access to something else. Like as Steve Jobs said, he learned calligraphy at a young age, and then that was useful for him when, as in Apple, when in fonts that Apple had. So he combined things. That's because he gave himself access to calligraphy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have. So the first step is to diverge. It's okay to get yourself into 1,000 different things, but then soon you got to converge. If you keep diverging, then all those happiness becomes a burden. Now you have no time for yourself. You go back to samsara, but you need to converge quickly into what are the theaters of action or arenas that I want to opt into, and then you make life simple yet elegant and beautiful for yourself.
Thank you, Aditya. The next question is, what changes and improvements do you see in conducting Toastmasters online post-COVID?
Oh, this is one of those. Fun gossip questions because nothing's going to change with my answer, is it? This is like some people asking me in a session, do you think Trump is better or Joe Biden? How the heck does it matter what I think? So how has Toastmasters? I think I can't answer better than what Nawab answered. I think it's like people who've decided to use it well have found benefits. People who have decided not to use it well have found it a burden. So it really depends, I think, on the attitude that people have used it. Like I travel the world in Zoom, and it gives me a great opportunity to give back, like I'm doing today, to many countries. Tomorrow I'm doing a session for Bahrain, then Australia. I think I'm doing one for Denmark. And these are people I might not have met if there was no pandemic. And each time I learn as well. You think you're the ones learning in the session. But I learn a lot from each of these questions, your perspectives, and there is always a degree of self-interest that keeps us going. Nobody can be completely altruistic. The fact that I'm here spending an hour seems like Aditya is a humble person. He said, yes, thank you. All that's fine. But I wouldn't be doing this if it's not backed by a desire, isn't it? And what's the desire? Probably it's seeking validation, hearing these wonderful words from you. Probably it's just a way to vent out my own need to speak. Probably it's just that ego in me that makes me feel good when I reach out to 15 or hundreds of people. But it's always backed by a desire, and therefore the pandemic is a great way for me to satiate whatever I need. I don't know what I need. It may appear as very altruistic, but I'm sure there is something in me that wants me to do this. That's why I'm saying yes to more than I can chew, actually. So yes, so pandemic is the way you see it. If you want to make hay, you will find a way to make hay.
So true, Aditya. I agree with that.
Oh, thanks, Neil, for agreeing.
Yeah, coming to next question, how to enter as a TEDx speaker?
Or fill a form. It's there online.
Oh, okay. Nice. And
I just want to say that please, I cringe more when people introduce me as a TEDx speaker now than earlier, because now TEDx is every road in India has had a TEDx event now, and every person is a TEDx speaker. Not that TEDx is any diminished, but yeah. So things like TEDx speakers and stuff is, as I said, those are like DTMs and TEDx, and it's useful to have, but that doesn't define who a person is. You can be a DTM but not distinguished. You can be a TEDx speaker but be very shallow. So I would say TEDx or World Championship, these should be validations of the champion that you have become reaching there. Those are not going to make you champions. A World Championship itself validates who you've become, not who you will become. Say when a Dhananjay won a world champion, it didn't make Dhananjay a better speaker overnight. It showed the world what he had readied himself towards, isn't it? So view these milestones in your life as a place you need to get ready for now, not after you reach there.
Thank you, Aditya. Now, next question is, what does make your vision clear and keeps you motivated?
What makes my vision clear?
Yes, not your vision, any person's vision, how to make it clear and keeps motivated.
That's if only we have answers to these, isn't it? I mean, if some of you know the answer, tell me. I can use it in my career too. So how do we make a vision clear and stay motivated? I think you need to, one of the ways which helps make a vision clear is it can't be isolated from everything else in your life. Then it normally drops off. You need to find a way to integrate it with other things in your life. For example, if fitness is a vision for you, it can't be isolated from other activities. To really be fit, you need to assert certain things, but you also need to negate certain things. You need to assert discipline. You need to assert, jogging that 10 kilometers a day or whatever you want to do. But you also need to negate other things that may be holding you back. So a vision of fitness can't be isolated from your lifestyle otherwise. So similarly, a vision in life cannot be incoherent or contradictory to everything else that you're doing in life. And a lot of times that we put a lot of effort on a hobby or habit. Like, for example, you put a lot of effort, friends, in public speaking. But why are you not becoming a public speaker if you are not? It's probably because you're not negating things you should be negating. Like, you probably expect to become a public speaker by spending 2 hours a week in Toastmasters. It's that other 166 hours that you should be focusing on. Then your vision towards being a public speaker gets fulfilled, right? So you need to assert the right things by going to the Toastmaster meetings, but you need to negate the wrong things by spending time, wasting time in other things. I did that 8 years ago when I decided no more TVs. So the last 8 years, I don't even have a cable connection at home. I realized if I really want to watch news, I'll go on YouTube and catch up with what's happening. I don't want to sit in front of the TV and waste my time. So I don't have a cable connection. Not that that's something great. I'm sure some of you do even better things than this, but that's helped me stop negating things that were wasting my time. And automatically I start asserting things that take me closer to where I want.
Thank you, Aditya. Such a wonderful output for that. And last final question: how to be consistency in our life? How to be consistency in life?
Well, how to be consistent in life? I was speaking to a bunch of students in Christ College, Bangalore, I think a few weeks ago. I was invited by Arjun, and I love talking to college students because I joined Toastmasters as a college student. And somebody asked me, I think a girl asked me this question, how to be consistent? And she added this rider to it. She said, how do we be consistent, especially when the consistency does not seem to pay results at the moment. I'm a consistent Toastmaster for 2 years, but my public speaking skills does not seem to have improved. I've not got that promotion. And that's why consistency is hard, isn't it? If you're consistent and the results keep pace with your consistency, then all of us will be consistent, isn't it? So if you go to the gym for 3 days and you can already see your six-pack coming up, then why would you stop going to the gym? The problem is there's no six-pack after 3 days. So we quit the gym. So her question was, how do I be consistent even in Toastmasters or in my career, especially when I don't see results? One of the ways to look at that is you may start being more disciplined or a better person today. But we have punched buttons in the past whose momentum will continue even after you have a U-turn in your life. So imagine you're driving a car, and as you're driving the car, you switch off the ignition. Does the car stop immediately? No, it does not stop. It goes forward because there is a momentum that you have accelerated in the past that needs to get extinguished before the car comes to a halt. So the time of you doing something to the time of you seeing results of that takes time. And that's why consistency is important. Similarly, so for example, you are a pathological liar. And today you start thinking that I need to tell the truth. I need to be honest all the time. So tomorrow morning, you only tell truth to everybody. But you see that other people are still not believing you. Why? because you have punched buttons for the last 20 years of being this occasional liar that people don't believe you. So that momentum of that will take time to extinguish. But at that time, you lose your hope. Even when I'm telling truth, nobody believes me, so I'll go back to telling lies. So the idea is that period between your U-turn in life, your virtue or your consistency, to the period with which the past momentum extinguishes, that is the period which is most tricky. And that's where people quit. If you don't quit there, then after the car comes to a stop, your current actions start paying dividends for you. Right? You've started telling the truth today. So after the past gets extinguished, your current truth starts paying wisdom where people start seeing you as a more virtuous person. Similarly with consistency. So consistency is required in that period where your actions and your results seems contradictory. But after that dark period, your actions that you're sowing today and the results you're getting out of this is in sync with each other. And it's that period where you need a coach or mentor to guide you through the right path. So that's why consistency is important. That's how you maintain consistency. So thank you everybody for this opportunity. It was wonderful speaking to all of you. I must confess that among all districts in India, District 92 I have a soft corner to District, what is it, 121 now? 92? Continues to be 92, isn't it? Yeah, 92. Because for us who grew up in Toastmasters early on, Bangalore was what we call the Makkah of Toastmasters. Because when we were one club in Chennai, Bangalore was already 40 clubs or so. So even for a club officers training, we used to take a train from Chennai Central to Bangalore, attend and come back that evening. So District 92 always has a soft corner. Thank you, Srinu Babu. Thank you, Bhupati. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aditya. Actually, very first time